Tech Addicts 2025, Episode 17, A Monopolistic Perplexity. This week, there's a new GDP gaming handheld coming with an unusual quirk. Microsoft is being sued over Windows 10. Perplexity AI wants to buy Google Chrome. Brits are using Proxies instead of VPNs. And a rather stunning 8K drone is about to debut. Hello and welcome to the Tech Addicts podcast. This is Gareth Myles speaking, and this is Ted Salmon speaking.
Hello there. How lovely to be with you once again on this lovely podcast on this blazing hot day. The irony of which is that this is the last day of blazing hot, and I'm sat in the middle of it in my tin can doing a podcast, roasting. If it had been tomorrow, that would have been very, very different. Would you like a bit more moaning about the heat and the weather?
Not really, no. I think it's quite lovely here at the moment. The sun is out and I've cooled my man cave down quite considerably by using the two-fan method of one blowing in, one blowing out, displacing the air, and things are cooler. Yeah, but
Cool.
Currently it's only 11 o'clock in the morning. By 3 o'clock I won't be up here. In fact, I'll be down with the wood chipper playing.
You might get hot then.
I could do, but then I can move to the shade, which is probably a good idea because the wood chipper would overheat as well. Yeah.
Indeed.
So, what's new with you?
Camera Creations, as we spoke about on the last show, we started this podcast as well as the PSC one, which we spoke about last week. It's got its website of its own, and I've decided to stop paying through the nose to IONOS for domains and SSL registration. So I dumped this new website, Steve Litchfield style, on my homepage. As he rightly points out, that's what he's done for his stuff for the last 200 years. And the important bit is really, when you're doing a podcast, the RSS feeds and making sure they're out there. Anyway, so I've put the Camera Creations website at tedsalmon.com/camera creations. And it's very basic at the moment. I'm working on it. So that obviously comes off of my main tedsalmon.com site as well, which is also back to basics, so don't judge it too harshly. I'm working on it, really. And having domains, I don't know what you think about this, but I know you've got your own domains and you might think it's important, but Steve's point is that I think domains don't matter anymore. Everyone's in social media, and that's where you need to be. And the fact that you don't have, I haven't got cameracreations.co.uk just doesn't matter, because that's not where people are going to get this stuff. Any thoughts?
A couple, because obviously I have techaddicts.uk, and it's pointed at garethmiles.com/techaddicts. That way I only have to pay for one bit of hosting, but I've got the .com, and I've got the domain, and I can shop around whenever it comes to time for that to be renewed, and I can just go to the cheapest one, which for many years was Google, because it was $10 I think it was for a year for a domain. I think it actually had a bit of hosting on it, or it used your Google Drive. I can't remember what it was, but I had a lot through that. And now they're kind of spread apart, as long as you keep an eye on where they are and you just look for the cheapest domain registration at the time. Because I did get rid of, mobiletechAddicts.com was gone, and I didn't want to pay for that anymore. So people did grumble that it was done away with, and I felt compelled to have to open up something new. And even whenever I stopped using techaddicts.uk, I got some grumbles, because I was directing people to garethmiles.com. They were like, oh no, you should do it to Tech Addicts because you're getting hits to your website. It's like, well, no, it's just cheaper for me. But yes, it's a better idea. But if you do want to keep it, just have a look for a registrar that's cheap as chips for the actual domain for a year or 2 or 3.
One of the problems with IONOS is that they charge 35 quid a year for the SSL registration to get the HTTPS thing going on. And apparently that's unusual, and IONOS are being a bit naughty because Steve tells me that the one he uses is free, and so there must be free ones out there, and IONOS are just doing the dirty. But the trouble is that I'm so baked into IONOS now, and 101 before it, that it's going to be such an upheaval to move everything. So anyway, this is my workaround. I'll try it this way.
It is. It's a bit of a minefield, and whenever you start setting things up, migrating to a new host, migrating to a new registrar, all that kind of stuff can be a real pain in the ass. And the last thing you want to do is to lose things, and you will lose things as you learn how to do it. I have lost several websites in the past because I've thought I've done it right, but I haven't. And yesterday I actually did it again, but I got it right this time because I absolutely, it was imperative that I got it right, and I had to sit there for, I think it was about 3 hours, getting more and more frustrated to make sure that I didn't lose anything. Everything was backed up twice, and I moved everything from the host over to the new host, which, well, that was actually bringing it into IONOS, which is where I do use my hosting, but not my domain registering, because SSL is rather expensive there. But things are cheaper, and they kind of make their money back by doing things like that. So I can understand why they're doing that, but it's a bit crappy. If you want to have to do that, you shouldn't have to pay that much for SSL, because everyone should really have it.
Yeah. Anyway, the net result of my little blurb there was that Camera Creations, the podcast, it should now be searchable in the directories. So if you go to if you search in your podcatcher for Camera Creations or Ted Salmon, it should pop up, and you'll be able to find it, and then subscribe and listen to our claptrap. We talk about cameras. End of.
It's great stuff. It's good stuff to listen to. It's not quite as, it's not as techie focused. It's more about the joy of actually taking photographs, which I think a lot of people lack. And the camera podcasts and things, they tend to just be talking about the latest camera that's coming along and things that it can do, whereas this takes things back. You've got 4 episodes out now, don't you?
We have, yeah, and we've also set up a because it's an audio podcast. It doesn't work terribly well with imaging. We've also set up a Google Photos album, which has got an open URL on it. And if you go to the website, either the website or your podcatcher, there's a link to that, and so you can follow through on the stuff that's being spoken about whilst looking at the images. So that works quite well now.
Excellent. Well, that sounds like a good community for people who are photography based to get into. Terrific. Well, we'll move into the news, because I'm very aware of Ted dehydrating on this hot day, and try and get through this, because, well, we have to. We can't go on we can't go with dead Ted. That doesn't make much sense.
We'll have letters.
Yes. So there's an article on PC World that discusses the new GPD Win 5, which is a very powerful new gaming handheld device that features an AMD Ryzen AI Max Plus 395 chip. That's a catchy title if ever I heard one. But unlike most devices, the GPD Win 5 does not have a built-in battery.
What?
And instead requires an external power source for a portable handheld console, which can where was I? I'm sorry, it's an 80-watt hour battery pack or a 180-watt DC adapter. This device it's just got a 7-inch screen, a 16-core mobile chip, and various features such as 128 gigabytes of RAM and 120 hertz screen. The price of the device is expected to be higher than its predecessor, which was the Win 4, which was out. Actually, I think that was this year, wasn't it? I think I read that in this article as well. And it should be between $830 and $1,165. But then there's going to be different specs and things like that with larger storage and differing RAM, I imagine, and stuff. But what do you think? A portable gaming console that you can't use on the go? You going to have one, Ted?
It's bizarre, isn't it? It comes with, or maybe you've got to pay extra for it, this battery pack that you carry around with you. It's just bizarre, isn't it? Also, what is a mini SSD card slot? Oh shit, I've started a video running now. Mini SSD card slot. And the writer of this article also says it's a format that he doesn't recognise. Any idea?
Well, I imagine it's just an exposed NVMe socket, which you can plug an NVMe into. If you open up any device that takes an NVMe, it's got a small port that you obviously Wi-Fi cards can also go into those as well. Mini PCs tend to use them, and you can buy, well, your motherboard. Modern motherboards will generally have two of them in there, so you can just slot the NVMe into it and then screw it down. But yes, the writer of the article is quite correct. It's not a standard port that you see very often, but I do remember seeing, I think it might have been a laptop possibly recently that had one. I don't know if it was real or it was a mock-up or something like that, but you could just plug an SSD into it on the go.
I've just asked Gemini. A mini SSD is a new type of solid-state drive that combines the small size of a micro SD card with the high speed capacity of a full-size SSD. It's a storage solution that aims to fill the gap between traditional slow memory cards and the much faster M2 SSD used in laptops and PCs. So now you know.
Yeah. I'm just having a look at some of the imagery on Google Images for it. There's not too much. It's quite difficult to sift through and actually find what might qualify as it, especially just as a quick aside. But yeah.
Anyway,
well, I guess that's the future of it.
Yeah. Anyway, yes, in answer to your question, it seems like bonkers to produce a portable device and make people carry a battery pack just to even use it, just to turn it on. Madness.
But then if you're sitting in the house on the sofa and want to have a wee game, you take it and you plug it in. I remember doing that with my Sega Game Gear an awful lot because I couldn't afford 6 AA batteries as a 10-year-old or whatever, 12 or 15-year-old. So I would have to just sit beside a plug socket and play Sonic the Hedgehog or Super Monaco Grand Prix.
Sure.
The days, the happy days.
Yeah.
Well, that's an exciting looking and interesting games console, and it looks a lot like a PSP, a bigger version of the. Actually, maybe more the Vita than the P. No, I'll go with PSP. Yeah, I think that's fair. All right, next up is one for Ted, because Perplexity AI wants to buy Chrome from Google for 3.45 billion.
No, 34.5.
Is that not what I said? No, I said. Oh, okay.
It's $34.5 billion, which apparently is twice the value of Perplexity, which means that the first thing they're going to be doing in order to launch this bid is to go out to investors and scoop up the money to do it from there. I linked to another article here as well, which is someone else saying that this is madness, and actually the whole background of Google possibly being forced to sell Chrome is nuts, because anyone that this person argues in his article, any company that gets hold of Chrome is not going to do anything different with it. It's a world leading monopolistic, is that the right word? Something, yeah.
Data harvesting software.
And anyone that buys it, he argues, is going to be just doing it the same with it in the same way, and ultimately it's better left with Google, because you don't know what, if someone else buying it's going to make it worse. But apparently Perplexity AI is out there trying to buy all sorts of stuff up from all sorts of people, even though they haven't got enough money to do it. But apparently they have got investors that are rich people sitting in their yachts in the Bahamas who are going to cop up and see the future of them taking the world by storm. So we'll see.
Well, what difference does it make what company actually runs it? I mean, if you have a look at Google of the past, the Google that both you and I fell in love with whenever they were making Nexus devices and trying to get people to get technology into their pocket, that's not the same Google that we have today. Google has changed very much, and they're now a hardware manufacturer, and they pride themselves on being somewhat of an Apple alike, and they're becoming more and more like Apple every day. Whereas recently we've seen Apple's roadmap has changed considerably, where they're going to be dumping a huge amount of devices over the next year, little robots and MacBooks that are sort of bridging the gap between iPad and Mac Airs and things like that. So it reminds me of way back when Apple and Microsoft, or well, Macintosh, Apple Mac, Apple's were all locked down, and Microsoft devices were all really opened up, and you could do things with them. And then over time, it gradually worked out that Microsoft started locking down more and more, but it depended on who was the captain of the ship at the time. So the Google CEO needs to be looked at, and then look to see what they are going to do with it in the future needs to be asked. Perplexity could buy it and have great ideas for it, or say someone completely out of the norm, like a charity, was to buy Chrome. And then whoever takes over running of that charity in the next 10 years could decide to use it for nefarious ideas until they let go of it, and then someone else steps in and changes it to whatever they want to do. So it entirely depends on who's running the company, not who the company is. So you can't really leave it with Google. You've just got to swap it about depending on what the roadmap is, and it should be given to a company that has the best ideas for the betterment of mankind, not just for lining their pockets.
The argument is, though, that Chrome is already such a behemoth, if that's how you pronounce that word. It's such an elephant that whoever buys it, whether it's Perplexity or someone else, they won't be able to do anything with it except what it is, and it's better left with Google, and that was the point, really. Perplexity, in amongst all this, are claiming that they will not change it, they'll keep it the same, which kind of defeats the whole purpose of forcing Google to sell it, because if it's going to stay the same, then Google might as well just keep it and run it. It's all a bit bonkers, frankly.
You know what we should do? Set up a GoFundMe, and then we'll try and buy it.
Yes. I wonder how much it's really worth. I mean, the fact that they're offering to bid $34.5 billion for it doesn't mean to say that's what it's worth. It might be worth twice that. What was it that that idiot bought Twitter for?
Musk.
Was it $40 billion?
40 billion?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So perhaps it is in the right ballpark, although I'd imagine that Chrome is bigger than Twitter.
Well, Chrome is a good little earner, and it depends on how you use it. And they obviously have plans for something to do, and it's going to be one of those things. Obviously, Chrome has been lent out, the whole Chromium project. The likes of Brave and various different browsers all use
exactly
the basic build. So is that going to spell disaster for those?
Oh, well, no, hang on a minute. Chrome OS and Chromium is a different department under Alphabet than the Chrome browser, isn't it? I think. Anyway.
Okay, right. So basically, they can go and create a new browser then and call it something else.
Yeah, they probably will. Yeah,
and they can get away from the Chrome branding, which would be probably quite good for them.
Perplexity's already got its own browser, hasn't it? What was it called? I saw that somewhere. I'd never heard of it, but apparently they've got this browser called he scrabbles around to find quickly. I can't find it, but they have got their own browser,
Right, okay.
which no one's ever heard of.
I've never used it. Okay. Well, we'll see what happens. Personally, I think probably someone will walk in and gazump them, and like Elon Musk will buy it or something like that.
Yeah, but before any of that happens, they've got to be forced to sell it, because Google are not going to sell it if they don't have to, and that's what's being bandied about, paying lawyers millions of pounds, and has been for ages now, and probably will continue to be, because lawyers are making a fortune out of it all. So it might take another 3 years to even get to doing anything.
Yeah. Well, someone who wants something done, because that's a really cool slinky link there, is Lawrence Klein, because Microsoft is currently being sued by the Californian resident for ending support for Windows 10 too early. Klein argues that Microsoft is unfairly pressuring users to upgrade to Windows 11, which has much stricter hardware requirements, as Ted has documented over the years. But many devices cannot meet. The lawsuit also claims that Microsoft is using the end of Windows 10's support to promote its Copilot AI technologies, which they're going to sell on new PCs. This could lead to a significant e-waste problem if users are forced to upgrade or discard their existing devices. Are we going to see a brawl in the courts, or is this just going to be something that Microsoft pounds poor old Lawrence into the ground?
Well, again, it's a legal question, isn't it? About, can you force a private company to do whatever based on monopolistic behaviour, and
you'll get that word before the end of the podcast.
Yes, you've got a show title, but apparently 240 million devices out there still running Windows 10 do not meet the hardware requirements to Windows 11. So 240 million people, including me, incidentally, I had to go and buy a new PC because of all this. We'll have to just cop up and buy. Now, for some businesses, that might not be such a big deal, but for individuals, it can be. And it's no wonder they're going to go and just buy a cheap Chromebook instead and give the two fingers up to bloody Microsoft.
Linux. Sorry.
Yeah, or Linux, as you say. Absolutely. Which we'll come to a bit later in the show. But the... it is a complete pain, as you quite rightly say. I've documented over the last few months, eventually giving in and cowtailing. I can't say that word either. Cowtailing. Cowtailing. Towing. I'm towing the line. That's the.
Okay, not tailing the cows, right?
Yes. Very, very naughty, Microsoft.
Well, it is, yeah. But you think of just the standard user who's going to be just, they're not going to know what to do, and their hardware is going to be done away with. They don't have the technical know-how to be able to move to Linux. They can ask people, and they can probably end up finding people online or in a local marketplace who will do it for them and take their data and yeah, it's gonna be a bit of a cluster if you excuse the language, because I'm just thinking about the person next door who has a laptop and they want to use it, and they need to go out and find something, and they don't want to have to buy Windows 11 because they're already a bit hard up, and Windows 11 isn't exactly cheap.
Exactly.
So yeah. Interesting to see what's going to happen. Mm-hmm. But Gemini, this is going to be a bit of a problem for some people as well. Gemini, which is the Google AI assistant, will now remember conversations unless users opt out of or use a temporary chat feature. The feature allows Gemini to personalize future conversations based on past chats, which is a bit creepy, bit Minority Report if anything. But users can turn this off using the settings menu, and the temporary chat option allows for something of an incognito conversation, and it is deleted after 72 hours after Google's harvested for any good information that's in there. The goal of Gemini's memory feature is to make the AI a long-term conversational partner, rather than a tool for reintroducing themselves each time. So you can understand the reasons why Google is doing this, because it'll start to grow to learn about you and be able to have conversations with you about stuff that you're interested in. And that is quite good, rather than having to start afresh. But, there's 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. What do you think, Ted? Are you going to trust it, or are you going to turn on an incognito mode and delete things as soon as they are ready to be deleted?
You know the answer to that question. You know what I'm going to say. I'm in wedded bliss with Google, and anything they do is all right with me. And I value so highly Gemini and what Gemini does for me and the conversations that I have. I don't care if Google knows even more about me and keeps the data to make the whole thing better. I'm sorry, convenience wins here, and it's just brilliant. I love using Gemini. So many things. Particularly technical things, but anything really. When I need some help with something, take that RSS feed thing. I think that I mentioned before. I didn't have a clue how to do that, and she just took it away, fixed it, gave it me back, and it just worked perfectly. So, Google can do no wrong for me. Leave them alone, everyone.
Well, I'm not going to disagree with you, because right now it seems like the better thing to do for the betterment of AI and for the betterment of actually using it, where if you're a graphic designer, you can ask it to bring up something that you've developed in the past, or refresh an image that it's done for you, to incorporate new imagery. That's what I think of it for. If you were to put a new logo on or something, or there's a new version of the iPhone, you wanted to update an older image that you have on your logo, so it can know what you're talking about.
Contextual awareness is
very good.
Just brilliant.
That's the one I was looking for. And I have used it in the past, where you've been able to ask questions about questions that you've already had answered. And that is really useful. And I remember doing it with, my son and I had been watching Blackadder, and I couldn't remember what it was about, I've forgotten his name. Charles the First was beheaded, wasn't he? By Oliver Cromwell or something like that. I've even forgotten it now. But I had a whole conversation with my son about it, because I remember a Monty Python sketch that said the most interesting thing about Charles I was that he spent most of his life at 4'8" tall. Or no, he spent most of his life at 5'8" tall, but ended at 4'8" tall. And I was like, right, okay, because he was beheaded by Oliver Cromwell. Right. Sorry, I butchered that completely.
What's that got to do with AI?
I was able to sit there and have a conversation with AI about Oliver Cromwell and Charles I. Not that I gleaned any knowledge from it, as it would appear, but I sat there with my son so that he would glean knowledge from it, and he's retained that because he was very interested and kept asking me things about that point in the royal family that I have very little awareness, which is like most things in life. Yes. Moving on before I embarrass myself anymore. Brits are turning from VPNs to proxies to resist the age verification. So what we're actually discussing here is the rise of proxy usage in the UK amid the country's very controversial age check verifications. I promise I won't get ranty. A proxy service, Decodo, DECODO, reported a significant increase in the proxy users from the UK, with an 88% increase in proxy traffic. However, using a proxy may put users' data at risk because it does not encrypt internet traffic, unlike a VPN. It raises concerns. It raises concerns about the data security and user privacy, particularly when the implementation of the age verification method is on various websites and social media platforms. Ted, what do you think? Have you gleaned anything from this, or are you just sitting back and happily uploading your pictures of Keir Starmer as your ID?
I don't feel the need to get involved whatsoever, frankly, which is probably a sad reflection of the amount of porn I look at. But the interesting bit for me was that I'd forgotten all about proxies and proxy servers and all that, so I thought I'd look it up and remind myself. And yeah, you're quite right. I mean, you've summarised it beautifully. It's all about encryption, and the difference between VPN and proxies is just that. So for example, your cellular operator, if you're using a phone, will still be able to see what you're up to on a proxy, whereas a VPN they can't. But you see, the downside of using VPNs is that all the good stuff that I was just talking about with Google, all of that gets lost because there's no tracking and tracing of what you're doing, and so Google can't learn from me. I don't want to use a VPN. It seems like a stupid idea, and I really don't need to do it to look at porn. Sorry to disappoint you, everyone.
Well, yeah, but I don't believe that's exactly what that's obviously the first thing people come up with whenever they're talking about internet privacy and things like that. Oh, you need access to your naughty images online, but there's an awful lot more that's going on there. Say, for example, people need to work and they need to encrypt their traffic from A to B. So they have to use various VPNs and things like that, and they can't be dealing with the British government as they have to do this. It's annoying people on other sides of the ocean as well, where people might be wanting to do something so simple as using Netflix or something whenever they're in the UK, but they can't because they have to provide this information.
Yeah.
So proxies is one way to do it, but as it highlighted in this article, it's not terribly secure, and I think it's a cheaper way for people to be able to get on it and to think that's what's doing it. But it is like, instead of, I think the best analogy I heard was people closing their curtains whenever they're getting dressed in the bedroom. Do you close the curtains whenever you're getting dressed? If there's people outside, well, if you do close your curtains, why do you do that? Do you have something to hide? Well, obviously you do, because you're closing the curtains. A proxy pretty much is like putting up a chicken mesh or chicken wire across your window, and it's not going to do the same thing as actually closing the curtains, which is essentially what a VPN does. And I will once again say, don't bother with proxies. Use Proton VPN because it's free, and it'll protect you online a bit more than what other people are recommending right now, or what, not recommending, but what people are going and getting out of the app stores and stuff like that, and Play stores. Go and search for Proton, because it'll keep you a good bit safer online than those other VPNs that, to be honest, people haven't heard of. Do a little bit of searching before you deploy a solution.
What's interesting here also, though, is the numbers involved of people that are bothering to do this. And whatever you say about other services and what have you, it's got to be to do with porn, hasn't it? Because, we think that normobs, people out there, just ordinary people, not tech enthusiasts, all stuff like this kind of washes over them as, oh yeah, fair enough, and they just get on with their lives. But a 65% increase in users means that an 88% increase in traffic would suggest very much that lots and lots and lots of people, huge percentage of the population, are actually doing something about this, and it's not just passing them by, and people are wanting to get past this legislation.
Well, yes, and there is I'm sure there is a large percentage that is to do with porn and being able to get it whenever someone needs it. But the BBC have already flagged that some of their news articles are not available to those who are aged under 18. I've discussed that on the show before. Sorry, discussed. I've shouted about it before because there are various different news articles that the BBC have produced that affect people left and right, but it's not actually available to most people to see who are under 18 unless they deploy something like this to be able to go and read it. And I think that there is quite a lot happening behind the scenes as well, where the government are forcing companies to manipulate search results as well, so that, you know, even if you are out over 18 and you do comply and give your age verification information over to the government, you're still not seeing certain things. And it's been reported widespread that if you're in the UK and searching for information on, say, for example, the protests are happening in London and Belfast and Edinburgh and things like that, where the police are being heavy-handed, it's quite difficult to find a lot of news about that. If you want to see the news, you have to go to a VPN to be able to go to an external country to be able to read about what's actually happening in the UK. So that is an extreme form of censorship.
Oh, right.
And then it brings it back to exactly how this is being put in, and it's how it's being established, because it sounds all ridiculously conspiracy and that sort of thing. But if you go down the way of the Carnegie, you know, Carnegie, the bloke who set up a fortune, has a trust fund that deploys money to libraries for the spread of knowledge. That
No.
trust fund is being used. Do you have a Carnegie library near you?
I don't know the word except Carnegie.
Okay.
I know Carnegie Hall.
Well, it's probably named after that family.
Right.
Most libraries are Carnegie libraries, which have a large amount of money donated to them from this trust fund,
Right.
that allows them to buy books to keep children informed.
Oh,
it was
right.
set up with the best possible intentions, whereas it would appear that trust fund is now being used to further this kind of technical research, to put in AI face recognition and all that sort of stuff. And I think the Carnegie family would be very upset about what is happening here. And there's an interesting, trend. If you just put in Carnegie, follow the money into Google, you'll find quite a bit of information about the people who are behind all of this, and how tech companies are actually, and how certain people are going to profit massively by these age verification checks. And it really is not about protecting children, and it's just said as protecting children because that's the easiest way to sell it. But I'm not getting conspiracy ranty, okay?
We need Alan
Promise.
here.
No, he's far worse than me.
Do you actually know anyone personally who has given into this and submitted their passport or credit card details or any? Do you know anyone that's actually registered? Because I don't.
No, I don't know anyone either. I know a lot of people who have moved on to VPNs.
Right. Yeah.
And that just goes to regular people who I work with, who are not tech enthusiasts in the slightest.
No.
But they've been given off about having to possibly put in their information.
Going
you
back,
might say for porn, but they're saying for being able to watch a football game or something.
Which goes back to my previous point about this is out there and it's public, and normobs. This is not just a tech thing. It's actually out there, and those numbers I quoted earlier and you quoted earlier reflect that. So it's yes, it's broader than some little tech problem.
It is, and it needs to be overhauled. I'm all for the idea of protecting children online, but if that's what they're actually doing, that would be great. And they need to get tech analysts in to actually come up with a better solution to deal with this.
End of.
Anyway, end of. Right, moving on to something pretty cool. This is the Insta360 8K drone that immerses you into an alternate reality of human flight. What a great article title. This is on newatlas.com. I'd never heard of them before, but I found them the other day and thought, this is a pretty good website with good sciencey, techie stuff in it. So their article discusses the A1, which is a new drone developed by Antigravity. This is a startup company who have been working with Insta360, who are the new sort of action cameras to rival GoPro and things like that. The drone features like a wireless handheld or wireless hand controller, a bit like the Wii Nunchuck, if you remember those. And vision goggles, allowing for like an immersive flying experience with 8K 360-degree footage capturing, and then broadcast to the goggles for you watching. And the key features include free motion tech for head tracking and intuitive hand gestures, a dual lens camera system for complete all-round image capture. The A1 is expected to launch in January, and there's no prices yet. But I love watching those videos on YouTube where you've got someone with a controller and they're stunt flying through an old factory and things like that, and they've just got a screen on their controller. So it's just stepping that up from the controller into actual goggles that you can fly around. And it's got a 360-degree camera on it, so you can look around as you're flying. You can look left and right as you're moving toward a mountain to explore a cave or something like that. So this sounds fantastic. Ted, what do you reckon?
It's interesting. At the risk of opening up another conspiracy and governmental security issue, Chris Clayton on Camera Creations pod this week was saying that he went out with a drone to try and take a photograph, not a video, a photograph of the bridge of the London Bridge and along the Thames, which he did, and the photograph is stunning. But he said while he was doing it, he was very aware that he's not allowed to fly the drone beyond the line of the London Bridge. Where he was okay, but beyond the line of the London Bridge, he is not allowed. Fair enough, okay. But while he was in the safe zone and controlling this thing in the safe zone, he said that he had, I think he said it was 4 security people that accosted him. And he had to explain himself and basically tell them what the rules are and what he was doing and all the rest of it. So, this whole drone flying thing is kind of, and also the other thing that I was asking Chris about was about battery, and I said this new DJI drone which was the subject of the topic, he said has a 35 minute battery, and I said 35 minutes, is that all? and he said actually that's quite good compared to other drones. I know nothing about drones really, but I can imagine something like this with 8K footage and all that data being passed is going to be about 2.5 minutes before it needs recharging, isn't it?
Well, no, well, maybe, but you take multiple batteries with you and you can just keep going with it. But 35 minutes, that is a long time. You don't take your camera out and stand there taking pictures over and over again for 35 minutes. You turn it off and put it away and then go and use it, 2-3 minutes at a time, possibly. But I understand what Chris is talking about with that, with people hassling you, because for some reason people know, you shouldn't be using a drone here, but you can have a license, you can apply for a license to be able to do that. And people come up and accost you and they ask you to see the license, even just passers-by, and it's like, why should I show you my license? Do you drive a car? Am I asking you for your driver's license to prove that you can drive that car? Go and arrest me. Go get someone to come over and arrest me. Get a policeman to ask me for my license. It really sickens me. I saw someone getting harassed by people because they were using their drone in public, and they had to pack up and leave because these people were demanding to see the license that this person had to take photographs or to use the drone, and they had it, but they had to take it out over and over again for all these other people who wanted to see it. And it's like, you don't have to show it to them. You only have to show it to the police if the police turn up. It doesn't matter even if it's a security guard. They can go and stick it up their bum. It's entirely down to if the police come and ask for it, like if you're driving a car. So, yeah, hats off to you, Chris. Well done for not punching someone. I would have.
He didn't say he didn't do that.
Oh, right, okay. He's keeping quiet about that. Fair enough, Chris. A load of unconscious people down by London Bridge that day, I see. Yeah.
It's a lovely photograph, though. I'll tell you what, I'll give you a link in the show notes for people to go and look at it, because it's really nice. He takes some great photographs, and with proper cameras, or indeed drones. Yes, right, okay, let's do a bit more. While PSC is not up and running yet, we'll do a bit more phone stuff, hopefully without letters. The Pixel 10 Pro Fold. The Pixel 10 event is on the 20th. When's the 20th? 17, 18, 19, 20. Wednesday. I thought they usually did Tuesdays. Anyway, apparently the Pixel event's on Wednesday.
That's the CEO. They're going back and changing the way Google used to do things. You see, nefarious.
Yeah. Anyway, the interesting thing here is that it looks like it's going to be, based on leaks, reliable leaks, the first foldable phone ever by anyone, any manufacturer in the world ever, that has got an IP6 and IP68 rating. And so what they're saying is basically they've cracked the dust. I mean, the IP68, the 8-bit of it is already out there for the waterproofing, but most of them are kind of either X8 or 4.8 or 5.8 or whatever. But 6.8, it's actually, they reckon they've cracked the dust thing. So you will be able to take it down the beach.
Has it actually got the IP68, or are they speculating that it will have?
It's a reliable leak. You know what these leaks are like. Yes, it's possible that it might be rubbish, but when you've got a known leakster that's leaking stuff. Anyway, the point is that if this is true, it will be a bit of a breakthrough moment in foldables, and I think I'm right in saying that no one else has done this yet. So good for Google, hurrah for Alphabet, and I love you, Big G.
But I'm sick to death of their colours.
Oh yeah,
jade and moonstone, so green and grey.
Yeah.
Is moonstone grey?
Moonstone. I don't know.
It was a good game, actually, on the Amiga, come to think of it, Moonstone.
Yeah.
You got to hack knights' heads off with sharp swords. It was good.
Lovely. And the other story is about the upcoming Honor Magic V Flip 2, which they're claiming another breakthrough moment, I think. The biggest battery ever in a flip phone, of 5,500 milliamp hours, and also Qi charging, and they've tested it. They reckon. You remember when they Samsung were shouting about having tested their flip device, one of the flip devices, to 400,000 folds? Well, this is not far off of that. They're testing it for. They have tested it for 350,000 folds. So this flip device, this Honor one, might be quite the thing. I've got an Honor device in at the moment. I think I might have mentioned it last week. It's the 400 Pro, and we'll come back to Honor stuff later on in Bargain Basement. But it's interesting to kind of try this Magic OS stuff out and see what they're doing, and actually, dipping a toe in the water of what used to be Huawei with GMS baked in, which is what Honor basically is. And it's quite interesting. Anyway, yes, huge battery in a flipping phone.
Yeah. Well, I've always been a big fan of Honor, and take great interest in their latest versions. And I can't believe it's. What was it? I was in 3 the other day, or about 2 weeks ago, actually, getting one of their wireless 5G broadband deals for 20 quid or something like that, which would be good if it delivered really good speeds, or 150 megabytes thereabouts, which it doesn't consistently do that. But I was having a wee look at some of their honours that they had on display, and they really are a step up. I think I'd actually rather have an Honor Flip or Fold than a Samsung right now. I think they just look nicer and they just have a better package about them. I don't know. It's difficult to justify that.
It just depends how baked in you are to Samsung, for example, because I do find gaps with this 400 Pro phone. There are gaps. There are things that you're just used to working and they just don't work, or they're not available. But there's a ton of stuff that does work and is available. The next upcoming event is the Magic V5. Now, my co-host on PSC, my new co-host Joe Hickey, has got because he's an Honor guru or whatever he's called. He's been invited to the launch event of that, which is coming up shortly, and that, again, thin foldable big slab phone with wireless charging. OnePlus listening, are you listening, OnePlus? A folding phone with wireless charging, yeah, so I think I agree with you. It's just that, for example, I'll come back to my example when we talk about Honor again in Bargate Basement. Hold that thought. But in the meantime, yes, the Magic V Flip 2.
Yeah, looks good, and it's the underdog, so it's probably got a lot more going on in it than the current reigning kings and queens of the mobile phone world. All right, moving into a bit of banter, because Ted, you're quite interested in FydeOS, which is a Chrome OS alternative that offers better experience for reviving old laptops and 2-in-1 devices. Tell us about FydeOS.
Well, it basically it's an alternative to FlexOS. We've spoken about FlexOS before. So FlexOS is this OS you can stick on your aging Chromebook or any laptop you want. Really, you can run any device you want on FlexOS. But the big drawback of FlexOS is that it didn't have and hasn't got any support for Android apps on a Chromebook like you would expect on a Chromebook. But this FydeOS does have. They've tackled that one and done it, and they've made it work. And the trouble is, and the reason that I didn't try it, because I was going to put it on and try it out, but the reason I didn't was I started to read this guy's article about the things that are just still not right with it, and it seems like the touchpad on his laptop isn't supported properly, and scrolling with a mouse is broken, and right click there's problems, and it just seems like it's not really polished and finished yet, like FlexOS is to some degree. But certainly, yes, it will be, if they can patch it up and make it good, then you'll get the Android apps in full support for your aging Chromebooks, which will be great.
It will be, yeah, and it's just good to see that people are doing this. I can't actually work out what it's based off of, because obviously it would have access to drivers and stuff like that if it's Ubuntu or Debian or what development environment it lives in under Linux. But obviously they'll bake in compatibility once they've got the whole thing up and running. There's no point in putting it in beforehand and then discovering, I'll have to go and do everything again. So it's very much a work in progress. But it's so encouraging to see so many new distros of Linux arriving that attempt to do something a bit different, and it makes distro hopping so much more inviting and interesting, depending on what your use case is for your computer. There's operating systems out there targeted exactly at you and what you're looking to do. And while some of them can be a bit rough around the edges, you're prepared to overlook that because it's delivering the results where you need it and want it. So, top-notch FydeOS developers, we support you.
Which brings us nicely into this article I found about an update to Linux Mint 22.2, and it's out there for public beta testing. I've got a laptop. I've got Linux Mint on one of my laptops, and I have got a fingerprint scanner on it. And one of the things that they're pushing about this update, it's called Zara, is that it's got, for the first time, fingerprint authentication support. So that's interesting. I put a link in the show notes to the download link for the Cinnamon version. But my question for you is all this simple to get onto the beta? Is it recommended to try and get onto the beta? Is it a bad idea for people like me that are newbies to the whole thing? Would you do this?
No, I haven't done the betas. I would prefer, because of my limited knowledge whenever it comes to Linux, I know things can be sorted out and you can dump time into fixing issues, but I will happily wait for the stable version of the update to arrive, because I just don't know enough. I'm fine with Windows. If I was to move to the beta of the new Windows, I can work my way around with that, and I have done for years, and I've always been excited about that, but I just don't trust myself with Linux. And if something balls up along the way, then you don't want to be stuck not being able to get your computer to work the way you want it to work. It can take time. And especially whenever it comes to the beta, if you go and ask people questions, you're not likely to get an answer straight away. If you go wait until the new stable environment arrives, then you will probably have an answer if you come across some sort of incompatibility with a bit of software or hardware. But I wouldn't be anticipating that your fingerprint scanner is going to work straight away. I would leave it a good while before that happens, or just for the stable, because someone somewhere is probably going to have the same laptop as you.
Okay. Good.
But you could go for it. You've got the time to be able to invest in it, and you could start getting into being part of the solution as opposed to the problem reporter that I would tend to be.
Okay. Yeah. I'll think about it. But as with FydeOS, I kind of backed away really when I realised that stuff wasn't quite working yet. So I might just be chicken and wait with you.
Well, yeah, but yeah. It's nothing is ever 100% compatible. I have my Stream Deck here, which some features don't work on it. Under Linux Mint, and I know there's various different compatibility drivers that you can get, but nothing is running 100% on it yet. And my Logitech keyboard, I wish I could hit the lock button to lock my computer, but I can't. I have to do Control-Alt-L to lock my computer, and I've never been able to work out exactly how to set it up to hit the lock button. I did once, and it would lock randomly, which really annoyed me, so I had to turn it off. But it's just one of those things that there's little niggles that you have to put up with as they're perfecting an operating system. Yeah. So you've also put in a...
You either back out or you don't. And I mean, a good example of a simile is that I am very happy to have my Pixel 9 and my Pixel Fold running on the QPR beta, and it just feels really stable. I very rarely have any problems with it, so I should just dip my toe in the water really and have a go with this Zara. As you say, it's not like I'm relying on the machine like you for a main computing device, so I could have a go. Perhaps I will. Sorry, what were you going to say?
No, nothing at all. It's the kind of thing that you can put on Ventoy and just boot off a USB disk and have a play with, whereas you've got the stable version still on your computer, or you can have a virtual machine. If I always say, if your machine's powerful enough to be able to run an operating system and then a virtual machine, because I've had a go at running Windows in a virtual machine, and it hasn't been a great experience. It's been quite slow, but obviously it's one of those things that people perfect over the years of running virtual machines. So there's other ways you can do it rather than having to sacrifice your main desktop to running a potentially buggy beta.
Yep.
But Linux Mint betas have generally been of a higher quality than you would expect from betas, and it's just down to me being a bit wary. Because I want to be able to sit down and use my computer. Mint is my main operating system that I use every day. So if things stop working, then that's potentially a real annoyance.
Yeah.
But you've also put in here a little idea that you're confused, or not confused, but you're trying to pick up which you would prefer, Cinnamon or GNOME.
Have I?
Yeah. There's a download link for... oh, right, okay, sorry. No, never mind.
Are you having some sort of relapse of your mental health problems?
No, I see you put a download link for Cinnamon, and I thought, oh, right, okay, is he interested in changing out his desktop experience? Or,
right. No, that's the download link for Cinnamon's version of Zara, the 22.2.
Ah, right, okay. Never mind. That's fine. We can carry on. I thought there was another topic of conversation because, well, I suppose since we've touched on it, people may be going, "What are you talking about?" You can replace your desktop environment in Linux Mint or various different versions of Linux with other environments. So if you don't want a Windows style interface, you can move to something that's a bit more progressive or different, and for Linux Mint, you can remove Cinnamon, which is like Windows Explorer and Windows Desktop, and put in GNOME, which is another popular one as well, or GNOME if you want to pronounce it that way. But GNOME is, I think that's generally how
There was one called XFE, is it as well?
It's a very lightweight one as well, where it strips everything down, and it's designed to run on quite primitive hardware, I suppose.
Right.
But GNOME it's a very, very different environment. If you have a look at some of the screenshots of it, you'll see that it's quite difficult to describe it. I think it actually works a wee bit better for touchscreens. If you're running it on a touchscreen tablet or something like that, it might be more focused that way. And it's got a bunch of different applications in it, where Cinnamon would have, say, XView for your photo manager. This one has something else called, I think it's Eye of Gnome or something like that, which is their photo viewer. So it's got a bunch of other things built into it that run just a wee bit better with the GNOME environment than and Cinnamon has
are you using
which
one are you using?
Cinnamon.
Right. Okay.
And you probably are too, I would imagine.
Yeah, I am.
Yeah, which is a very friendly Windows-style interface.
Yeah.
But if you get tired of it, you can rip it out and put something else in instead.
Very good.
There you go. Moving on. I'm sure someone's found an inaccuracy of what I've said there, but that's my understanding of it right now. So moving into the bargain basement, where I understand that things are a lot cheaper. And we'll start with a couple of little processors that are on sale on Amazon, and I was quite taken by them, especially if you're looking to do a build right now. You might want to have a look at the AMD 9600X and the Ryzen 9 9900X, because they're both on sale on Amazon, and the Ryzen 5 is down from £250 to £132, which is cracker. And I'm just noticing that you can get that on a payment plan as well for £26.40 a month if you fancy that. And that's a really nice, powerful processor that would do very well in a basic, not a basic rig, but a sort of mid-tier rig if you're building one. Equally, the ridiculously overpowered AMD 9900X processor, which has integrated graphics as well, is down from £372 to £289, which is a really good deal if you ask me. And it's very tempting if you're looking to go out and maybe upgrade your computer as well, but then obviously you're going to need a new motherboard and RAM and things like that, so it might be the start of something quite expensive if you were to start with this, if you want to take advantage of that deal. But if you're building a computer right now, look at those because they're on Amazon, and it's just a limited time deal that you might want to take advantage of. No coolers on them. Actually, it's worth pointing that out. But I don't think too many people use the stock coolers that come with them, especially if they're installing a Ryzen 9. Ted?
I just thought I would point out to people that not the Amazon interest-free payment plan thingies are not the same for everyone. For example, I haven't got any payment plans going on at all at the moment, but I'm not seeing what you're seeing there. So I think it depends on where you live and what it is, and the algorithm as to what they use to decide to offer people their interest-free payments, or whether it's 5 months or 12 months. It's just like no one knows. Probably they don't know. So. Yes. One thing that I am, however, seeing payment plans for is the Canon PowerShot V10 vlogging starter kit, which is down to 299 quid from, well, originally 439. And they're offering me that for 5 months at £59.80. But again, you know, your mileage may vary on that, and not everyone's going to see that. Interesting little vlogging starter kit though. This Canon PowerShot V10, which kind of it's got a fixed focus camera on the front, and you kind of fold it out from the back. So if you want to use it as a camera, you can. Kind of in a traditional way, although it seems to work best in portrait. But the main use for it really is someone that's creating some front-facing video for TikTok or YouTube or whatever, and you can stand this thing up and it points back at you. And I mean, you could argue that it's no better than using a mobile phone to do this kind of thing, as long as you can prop it up and what have you. But it's a dinky little device, and I think it's quite nice. Comes with a little kit with some mufflers and some a little bag and what have you. I like it. I think it's nice, and it is reduced at the moment.
Yeah, it's really cool. I knew someone who had something like this a few years ago, and they used it a lot. He was a Norwegian vlogger whose name I can't remember, Howard something. But he went around some shows with me and vlogged along the way. I was quite impressed by it. But it was all to do with the microphone, more so than anything, that it was able to pick up his voice, and it had this omnidirectional microphone that was in, or it was more of a cardioid, I suppose, that would pick up his voice and not the surrounding noise. And it did really good work at on a busy floor, in a busy environment, at filtering out all the other voice work that was, or noise that was going on, and focused on his voice work, which I'd be interested to see how that works, because I think cameras are fine. You get a selfie one at the start of it, or on your mobile phone. But whenever you go to use it, it's actually the microphones on the phone that need to be up to snuff. Otherwise, it sounds crap, and that takes away from your whole overarching experience. So I'd like to see how this works with the stereo mics with wind filters. Very good, very good. The next one is, I went down a bit of a rabbit hole when it came to MP3 players, because it's just nice to have an MP3 player, and they're dirt cheap on Amazon at the moment. Excuse me. This is the Wolfang, WOLFANG. It's an MP3 player that comes with a 64 gigabyte SD card that you can change out for a larger one if you want. It's got Bluetooth 5.3, and that's why I'm highlighting it, because it's a new model over the slightly cheaper, older one that has Bluetooth 5.2. It has a little sports clip. It's mini in size. It weighs 1 ounce. And it's got an FM radio built into it as well. It does voice recordings, and earphones are included with it, but I can't imagine they're going to be anything that you're going to want to use. It would also be compatible with your Bluetooth headphones if you have any, but it has a 3.5mm audio jack on the side of it, so you can use it on the go. It's a bit like an iPod shuffle-y type thing, but it has a full screen, and you can just clip it onto you and go for a run or a walk and take your music with you on the go. and it's down from 30 quid to £20 and 99p. And I'm actually getting a payment plan on that for £7 a month for 3 months, which possibly worth taking. But I really quite fancy a dedicated MP3 player, because it can be a bit of a faff getting your phone to connect to your Bluetooth headphones whenever you're leaving, and sometimes have to take it out of your pocket to be able to skip to the next track or whatever. Whereas if you have this pinned to your lapel or your belt or something like that, you can just hit a physical button and it'll skip the track or go back a track or raise the volume. That's kind of nice. It's compatible with MP3, APE, FLAC, WAV, DRM, and ACELP, which I haven't actually heard of before. But I thought this was kind of a nice little novel idea for someone who's out running. And I went down the whole wormhole of MP3 players on Amazon, and I'm salivating over so many of them because they just look really nice, good quality, decent devices. What do you think of this? Would you have one of these?
I'm not sure really. I like you, I occasionally have a look and see what's going on, and I look at that Sony one which looks really nice. But then I conclude that I've got, mobile phones that just do all this much better. I do get the whole thing about pairing up and it's just simpler and all the rest of it. I don't know if you mentioned battery life on this one, but I'd imagine it's quite good. If it's not driving a speaker particularly, which it's not, it's just earbuds and Bluetooth, I would imagine that you get a lot of battery life out of it. So that's one advantage for sure. You're not using the battery of your phone while you're doing all this. And if it clips onto you, one of the biggest advantages, I think you're right, is physical buttons. That's fantastic. Just, no mucking about with voice controls or tapping earbuds or all that bollocks. You can just press a button on the thing, which is just great. So I'm with you, and for 20 quid, why not?
Yeah, I'm just actually having a look at the sheer level of content on their website listing on Amazon, where their product description goes into everything about how to pair it with stuff and how to use it in the actual listing itself. So you do actually know what you're getting into when you're buying this, rather than having to open it and find a poorly translated description in the product manual or whatever, the quick start guide. So and it comes with a user manual as well in various different languages. So I just think this could be an all-encompassing. Oh, hang on a second. It is USB Type-C, but the image of the cable is quite old, and it's showing it as micro USB. But it's got a USB Type-C on the side, doesn't it?
It does. Yeah, I think it looks like USB-C.
Yeah, it's got to be. If they've upgraded it for Bluetooth 5.3, it's got to have USB Type-C.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does. Yeah. I see an image of it now. We're good.
But you're right, though. There's loads of information, and very cool for 20 quid. And if there's one of these out there for 20 quid, then there'll be other stuff, as you say. Right, the Poco F7 Ultra is next. And I was looking at this week with my Honor hat on, being I'm a newly discovered Chinese kind of phone person now. The F7 Ultra is amazing. I mean, it has been reduced from, initially 699 quid with a 512 16 gig version, but it was loitering around 619 on Amazon. It's now 559, and I think actually from Xiaomi's website you can get it for 556 at the moment. But anyway, the point is that this Poco F7 Ultra is an absolute powerhouse. If you're okay with HyperOS 2 and doing stuff the Xiaomi way, and perhaps have got some other Xiaomi stuff around you as well already, this is a really compelling argument. The specs of this Poco F7 Ultra for 550 quid are just stunning. It's an awful lot of really, really good phone. And there's also a deal on the 256 gig version, 12 gigs of RAM, for 529 as well. And they were offering me all sorts of 12 months and 5 months on that. So, As I say, if you're okay with the whole Xiaomi Poco way, then that's a real bargain at the moment.
Yeah, yeah, it's a damn good phone for not a lot of money. Well,
Mm.
a decent amount of money, but a damn good phone for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool, cool. Moving on to a tablet, and this is the Honor Pad 10. It's a 12.1-inch Wi-Fi tablet with 120 hertz, 2.5K eye protection display, a 10,100 milliamp hour battery, and it runs on a Snapdragon 7 Gen 3 chipset, and it says Android 15. Okay. This is reduced in price from £300 down to £200, and I'm actually getting £40 a month for 5 months on a payment plan. This is a nice looking tablet, and I think we've talked about it before on a deal, so it might be back down to that price, but it could be the older one, maybe the 9 that we've featured in the past. And it's Honor, so you should be getting a fairly decent experience there with a rather nice user interface. Magic OS is very tidy and colourful and fun to use, and it's got 6 Honor spatial audio speakers and AI efficiency productivity tools built into it as well, if that floats your boat. What do you think, Ted? Would you have one of these?
Yeah, definitely. I was. This is what I was going to come back to when we came back to Honor, which was what the point I was going to make was that I went off to try and find a way of teaming this up with my Honor phone. First thing I found out was that with the Honor Pad 10, it's the first one of their less premium Magic branded devices, tablets, that they're giving the 6 and 7 years of updates to. So you'll get a hugely long support window on this device. But secondly, going back to what I was saying before, sometimes it's about the availability of. I mean, to give you an example, this one doesn't come with a pen, but you can use a pen with it. But in order to get the pen, you've got to go and order it, and it's about, I don't know, 40 quid or something, which is fair enough because the pad is cheap enough as it is. But I went off to try and find one, searching around, and in the end I gave up and asked Gemini, and she pointed me to eBay and to AliExpress, and there's just, it's just really annoying that this Honor stuff is amongst us, and it's not surprising that people just stick with Samsung, where you can just get everything you want and it's all available, and I really want the Honor thing to work for me with this phone, because the phone's really nice, but when you come up against this kind of thing, you think, it's a bit. Anyway, I was encouraged by the long support window for sure, and I'm being offered £40 a month on this one as well, so it's quite tempting. I'll look further into it.
Oh, you're quite right. I'm having a look through Amazon's website, and I don't actually see the pen for sale.
No, it's not. You have to, as I say. I think you can get it from the not the Xiaomi, the Honor UK website. You can order it in, but I'm still looking into that, because you see, there's not much point in having all those lovely scribing AI stuff going on with being able to use it as a notebook and a notepad if you haven't got a device that works with it, and it doesn't work with USI 2? Is it USI?
I found it.
Ah, have you?
Sorry. Yes, I have. It's £75.
Oh, is it? Which pen is it?
I will post a link into the show notes so that you can see.
Because Gemini said you've got to be really careful about which one you buy, because some of them just don't work. And I should let's have a look at this one and see what it's called.
It's Pen for Pad or something like that. It's called.
Honor Choice Stylus for Pad. You're right, but it says currently unavailable. So.
It says 3 left in stock for me.
Does it? Well,
yeah, maybe they're in in Northern Ireland as opposed to UK.
Yeah. Anyway, that was the point really. Is that when you meander off the main track, you have to be a bit careful about support and what's out there and available, and then you head back to Samsung. What a shame.
But yes, I went down that street whenever I bought the Lenovo tablet for my son, and I had to try and get a pen for that. And I think Lenovo themselves do 2 or 3 different stylus for various different tablets.
Yeah.
And I was really worried about which one I was buying, because I just didn't want to get the wrong one and then have to return it and get a different one.
Yeah, absolutely. I found one for my Lenovo tablet in the end, but it's the same thing really. But if you had a Samsung tablet, no question at all, straight onto Google and get it. Talking of which, my last bargain, similarly, stylus is a problem with this even. Google Pixel tablet with the charging speaker dock, which was originally 699 quid. It recently dropped to 399, and now it's dropped again to 379, and phase payments for me. And that's, as I say, that's the one with the speaker dock as well, which is great. But if you want a pen for that, then there is some rumblings this week in the tech press about people finding pens on sale again for the Pixel tablet. But anyway, I've shouted out this one out before, but it has been further reduced by another 20 quid, so 379, and that's an awful lot of tablet and gear for that price. So recommended.
Yeah, I'm just having a look at Amazon as well, and there are pens available.
Mm-hmm.
But they cannot be shipped to Northern Ireland. Why? Yeah, they're £85 for the Pixis Stylus pen for Google Assistant for Pixel Book and Pixel Slate, which is a white one, and then there's a black one as well.
No, they don't work.
£52.
They don't work.
Oh.
The Pixel Book and Pixel Slate ones don't work. With the and this is the problem with the Pixel tablet. The Pixel tablet has got a different protocol. I've got a feeling it works basically with USI 2. Is it USI? I keep saying USA. I think it is Universal Stylus.
I think it is USI. Yeah.
Yeah.
Interface.
Yeah. I understand that the Pixel tablet will work with USI 2 styli, but it doesn't do everything or something. It's a bit of an unknown. But the genuine original Pixel tablet stylus, apparently, people are finding them out there again, having not been on sale for ages. Anyway, there you go.
Well, that's grand. It's a bit crappy that pens are so difficult right now. You'd think that a company like Google would have this all sorted out before they started chucking things out at the masses. Apple wouldn't let that happen. So Google, next time your new CEO comes in, make sure that they're doing that first.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that about brings us to an end before Ted ends up as a glass of sort of smudgy water on the floor. Got puddle, so that would be what it's called. So we'll let him go and be able to run around the garden in his undies, just cooling off and things like that with a bottle of squash or something. I don't know. Right. Well, if you want to get in touch with us, you can by emailing us at gareth@techaddicts.uk. You can also find us at techaddictsuk, as we rattled off at the start of the show. You can find us on X at techaddictsuk, and I'm also on X too at Gareth Myles, GarethMyles. I also have my GarethMyles.com, and I'm on Mastodon and Blue Sky. I am on them, but I don't actually interact really terribly much with them at all. Ted, where can they find you?
They can find me at tedsalmon.com, as previously discussed. That's where I live, and I spend most of my time in our Mewe groups, and you'll find links to all of our Mewe groups and all of our audio podcasts in my website at tedsalmon.com. As I say, I'm working on it, so forgive me if it's not polished yet, but in the coming days it should be sorted out. And if you want to buy me a copy for all that lovely work I do in the back end of sorting everything out, you can do that at paypal.me/tedsalmon. Thank you, my lovely people.
Marvellous. And we'll be back same time next week. Same time. What? We'll be back next week with another rip-roaring show of surf, sun and fun. All right, take care now.
Bye.